Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be upon you all and welcome to the channel. This is the first video for the analysis and critique playlist. Technically the second, but it is the first related to the purpose of that playlist. If you have guessed the answer from the first video, congratulations. We will be discussing Warcraft 3 for this video. Not in its entirety, of course. This video will create a sub-series, possibly 3 or 4 videos, depending on the necessity and my schedule as well. If I am available, I can possibly combine campaigns together into single videos, though I prefer to divide the different campaigns into multiple videos. Firstly, before we begin, this critique is not targeted towards the people who have developed this game, and it is not meant to belittle their efforts either. Secondly, this critique is not aimed or targeted at the voice actors either. This critique is aimed at the story, the world, the narration, and the lore of Warcraft itself. I did discuss the purpose of these videos, but to reiterate, in case you did not watch the previous video, certain personalities or traits, to be precise, are instilled into people through subliminal messages. This takes place either through advertisements, manga, anime, cartoons, movies, and television shows. The point of this playlist is to merely raise awareness to the possible messages that could either weaken an individual or completely ruin an individual by changing their outlook or perspective on life. For example, there are songs that promote suicide. I will not mention the names of the bands nor the names of the songs, but if you clearly analyze the context and the content, you will notice that these songs are promoting suicide. It may not be the intention of the singer or the band, but it leaves the impression when the person listens to that song and listens to the singer speaking about ending their life for whatever reason. This person becomes indoctrinated through repetition. If this person keeps listening to the song and listening to the song, the subconscious absorbs the content and integrates it into the personality of that individual to the point where that person could develop suicidal tendencies because of that song. Now, you may be mocking me at the moment, but remember that advertisement campaigns cost companies millions. There is a reason why companies invest heavily into advertisement, because they understand the psychology of the customer, or to put it precisely, consumer, because now they treat people as sheep and they call them consumer instead of customer because they will accept anything they present. They understand the psychology of the sheep and they manipulate that psychology through advertisements. To prove this, look at the ratings of rape in your country. Look at the ratings of obesity and cancer in your country. Then connect that to the media. Cancer is increasing because your country sells cigarettes, it sells alcohol, it sells narcotics, legally that is, it sells processed meat, junk food, and so on and so forth, which increase the possibilities of cancer. Now, instead of treating cancer or investing money on cancer, they instead give you the poison with one hand and ask for donations to cancerous research with the other hand. How do you wish to treat or cure cancer when you are feeding cancer through different outlets? Just as an example, you can also see it in the in the pattern that has been adopted by different movies, especially now. Back in the day, they used to present the man in a particular outlook and the woman in another outlook. Now the man is stupid for some reason and he needs a woman as his savior. This is to cement an agenda within the mind. You may laugh at it consciously, but subconsciously, that is the issue. So this playlist is aimed at raising such awareness. Warcraft 3 has an interesting story to narrate. However, there are issues with the approach that may provide certain perspectives to the individuals who enjoy this game or play this game that may affect their personality as they develop and grow, particularly if they played this game at a younger age. That player will be easily influenced because they are impressionable and start behaving in a particular manner because of that game. Again, due to the subconscious influence, not the conscious influence. I am not declaring that Blizzard has ill intent while designing that game. Blizzard may had an ill intents towards the players, and they may not have. You do not know. But I am merely judging the content. I am not judging the intention, because Blizzard is also the product of their society and environment. If the people in the United States, for example, are grown, groomed, bred, and raised in a particular manner, they will behave in that manner even if it is inappropriate, because that is the societal standards. That is why I'm not targeting any critique towards Blizzard. I am focusing solely on the narrative, on the story. This critique could also help you, and this is a possibility, it may not be definitive, but it may help you design your own story if you are an author or perhaps hosting sessions for tabletop role-playing games. This critique may help you design a world that could be immersive for your readers or your players. But again, that is a possibility. You may not benefit from that endeavor, and that is not the main goal of these videos. I consider them as a byproduct because it is not intentional. Lastly, before I begin the video, this video will only cover the prologue for now, then move on to, I believe it was the campaign of the humans, if I recall correctly, in terms of sequential order. But there may be discrepancies in the volume between the volume of the video itself and my voice. So keep that in mind, because I do not have an efficient microphone. Any person who watches my videos knows that I do not receive any funding for these videos. They are rather poor quality, but I do what I can with my current capabilities, nothing more. Also, before I forget regarding these videos, Oh man, I had the thought in my mind and I lost it. Subhanallah. For goodness sake, man. Okay, well, if I remember it, I will speak about it later. This style will be implemented in other videos as well, inshallah, bi'ithnillah, and God willing. We will see if it is a convenient process for myself. I will utilize it. If not, perhaps I can critique these games or these anime or these cartoons in another manner. We will see, inshallah, bi'ithnillah. I will remain silent through the cutscenes, then pause the video and comment if a comment is necessary. Hopefully there will be multiple comments, otherwise I will remain silent for too long and the video will be rather pointless. We will see what happens. Alhamdulillah, I remembered what I wanted to say. I will not advertise where I obtained the video from. All these videos are obviously from YouTube. I simply download them from YouTube. I do not care who uploaded them. This is not advertisement for YouTubers, nor is it advertisement for YouTube itself. I merely downloaded it to analyze it, nothing more, nothing less. With that, let us begin.
The sands of time have run out, son of Duratan. The cries of war echo upon the winds. The remnants of the past scar the land. Besieged once again by conflict. Arise to challenge fate and lead their brethren to battle. As mortal armies rush blindly towards their doom, the burning shadow comes to consume us all. You must rally the Horde and lead your people to their destiny.
So here is the first issue I have with this part. The cinematic cutscene is amazing, obviously, so is the script. But actually, I should wait a bit until more is revealed. That way you have more context to what I'm about to say. Apologies for the interruption.
Seek me out.
What kind of nightmare was that?
It was not a nightmare, young war chief, but a vision. Follow me, and I will reveal what your future holds.
I don't know what this is all about, but I'll play along. Lokrigar, no.
Now, the issue with this portion of the game where he says, I do not know what this is, but I will play along, I find that rather, what is the word? I should say, it is brimming with naivete on Thrall's part. The issue with the story behind Warcraft 3 is that it is not rather deepened unless you read the books, the comic books, or play World of Warcraft, where they ruin the lore rather profoundly. But when you encounter a crow that speaks and asks you to follow it, normally that is suspicious behavior. He may not find it suspicious because he is a shaman or a shaman that communicates with spirits that you never encounter in any form, and thus believes that this is a spirit that may be guiding him to a particular goal or a particular purpose. However, even if it is a spirit, Thrall does not know if this spirit is malevolent or beneficent. Its intentions have not been revealed. Thus, Thrall should not have followed the spirit nonchalantly. He is a leader of the different tribes or different clans of orcs. As a leader, you need political sense, sharpness, and foresight. A leader must be a politician, not a warrior. And I do not mean politician as in the politicians you see in the Western world now. No, definitely not. A politician that was present perhaps in the age of antiquity, as they refer to it, or the old world. If you look at, for example, Hannibal Barca, he was an amazing leader. Why? Well, you can read about it so that you can learn more, as opposed to learning from me with missing information or possibly inaccurate information. You should read about Hannibal Barca and why he was an amazing leader, even though he lost. And when he lost, why did he lose? What were the pitfalls of his logic or his foresight as a leader? That is an example for non-Muslims. Of course, I take pride in my Islamic history, so I will speak of, obviously, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, the greatest leader ever. But you can also read about his caliphs, his companions who became caliphs later on. You can read about Muhammad al-Fatih, also known as Muhammad the Conqueror, how he managed to bring Constantinople to its knees, how he ended basically the Eastern Roman Empire. If you look at Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan radiallahu anh, he was one of the Prophet's companions, how he diverted the trade route from China to the Roman Empire, and how he affected that trade and allowed the Muslims to gain wealth from that interruption, and so on and so forth. These were great leaders because they did not think as warriors, they thought as politicians. They understood the consequences of action and inaction. If they take a particular action, what will happen? And if they do not take a particular action, what will happen? Or if they take an action, what will not happen? It is the same as playing chess when you expect how your opponent will move or lead your opponent to move in a manner that you want him to move towards subtly by maneuvering your troops or your chess pieces, if you wish to call them that, however you wish to define them. Here, Thrall greatly lacks leadership qualities because he followed a strange spirit that appeared to him suddenly in a dream or a nightmare. A leader must have eyes, as in must have intelligence. Such intelligence units are normally dispersed throughout the lands, collecting information about surrounding nations or neighboring tribes. They also collect information about the intention of these neighboring nations, if they have the intention of invading, for example, and so on and so forth. The best example here would be how it would be the fall of Andalusia. Back in the day, they still do now, through TikTok as an example, but back in the day, nations would send spies that pose as merchants or traders. Nowadays, your merchants and traders would appear as human rights movements. They would appear as retail outlets such as Amazon, because these outlets have databases that collect information about you. This information can be delivered on a silver platter, as they say, to any intelligence agency. And once they understand your spending habits, they can manipulate you easily or recruit you easily. What were they called in English? I forgot what was the name of the nation in English. I know it in Arabic, but Castile, I guess, if I recall correctly, the one from Ferdinand and Queen Elizabeth, King Ferdinand and Queen Elizabeth. I do not remember the name of the nations in English, to be quite honest. They sent a merchant to Andalusia, and once he entered the nation, he saw a boy with a slingshot aiming at two birds on a branch of the tree with one stone. And yes, if you are thinking what I believe you are thinking, you are correct. He would sling the stone at one bird but miss the other, and he would cry. So that spy approached him and asked him, "Why are you crying?" The boy replied, "I am pretending that those two birds are enemy combatants from the nation of Castile, whatever it is called, the enemy nation. And I'm trying to kill two combatants or two birds with one stone. Unfortunately, I keep aiming at only one bird instead of two, which means that if I am on the battlefield, I am able to kill one enemy soldier, but the other one can easily pass me by, enter my land, and ruin it." The spy returned and informed his superiors that the time is not ripe for the invasion. If this is the logic of the child, think of the logic of his father. If he is that eager and ready to expend everything for the sake of his nation. The centuries passed. Andalusia lasted for roughly 800 years, if I recall correctly. They would send the spy, not the same spy, obviously, or maybe it was the same, and they sent the spy in a span of a decade, perhaps. The spy entered the nation and he found a boy, roughly 16, 18 years old, crying by a tree. He approached him and asked, "Why are you crying?" He told him, "Oh, My girlfriend was supposed to meet me, but she is late and my heart can't bear it. Oh my God, oh this, oh that. I yearn for her, my soul, my heart. You know what Western teenagers say now. He returned to his superiors and he said, now is the time to strike. And yes, the Western world is about to fall because that is how low they have fallen, unfortunately. Anyways, this is an intelligence unit that is gathering information for the nation. Thrall does not have any, apparently, because the crow managed to sneak into his hut and speak to him without alerting anyone. You may wonder, you may ask, well, the person who was speaking is disguised as a crow. How would they guard for that? But the fact that Thrall does not have security around his hut is problematic enough. That means anyone can enter Thrall's hut and assassinate the great leader of the Horde. And we will see why they are called the Horde in a moment. And since magic is overly powerful in this world, I just remembered the His World song from Sonic 2006. Sorry. Since magic is overly powerful in this world, I am surprised Thrall managed to avoid or evade capture till this moment. He is the leader, which means that he is the head of the body. If you cut off the head, the body is worthless. Study the historical battles that involved the loss of a particular party or a particular nation when the leader of the army was killed. Because the leaders inspire their troops, so when they are killed, the troops are sent into disarray because of loss of morale. That is an issue. That is why for motorcycle riders or drivers, however it is phrased, they always wear a helmet because the head is the most important part of the body. If you lose the head, you lose everything. But if you lose an arm, you can still survive. So Thrall can easily be killed. So I am surprised that he was not killed or captured till the beginning of this game. There are pitfalls in his security, pitfalls in his intelligence, and pitfalls in his leadership skills. Well, I guess people will say, it's just a game, FFS. No, it is not just a game. If you think of it with such a short, or not a short, but what is the correct adjective for this? What is the opposite of broad? Small, I would believe. If you look at matters with such a small scope or a short horizon, you will never develop in life. I want you to ask yourself this question. Why are cities designed the way they are? Why are they condensed in the downtown areas? Because they want you to live as an oppressed individual for the rest of your life. Your apartment is small, the streets are narrow, everything is congested. That way, you live your life with the mentality of a slave, because that is what slaves suffer. Everything is small, tight, and narrow. They cannot maneuver, they cannot function, they cannot see the horizon. That is why the architects design and city planners design these areas the way they are designed, to keep you oppressed and thinking as a robot. That is also why schools do not teach anything but certain agendas, to design you to be a robot, to kill critical thinking. So if you keep mocking this video, you are one of those ignorant robotic individuals that are groomed, bred, and raised to be Amazon factory workers, where you simply close the box, move to the next one, close the box, move to the next one. No critical thinking, no problem solving whatsoever. Now let us continue.
For
As Thrall moves through it.
Loktar, my warriors.
The Murlocs click on the chain.
Honor.
Greetings, son of Duratan. I knew you'd find your way.
It was you I saw in the vision. Who are you? How do you know me?
I know many things, young war chief, about you and your people. My identity at this time is unimportant. What is important is that you rally your people and leave these shores immediately.
Leave? What's this all about, human?
Human? I left my humanity behind long ago. I am something different now. Know that I have seen the future and beheld the great burning shadow that is coming to consume this world. You sense it as well, don't you?
The demons are returning.
Yes, and only by leading your people across the sea to the distant lands of Kalimdor will you have a chance to stand against them.
But how can we...
I will answer all of your questions in time, young war chief. For now, rally your warriors and prepare to leave this land. We will speak again.
None of this makes sense. But the spirits tell me that I should trust him.
We returned to the same issue, that Thrall is trusting this strange individual he has never seen except in a nightmare as a crow. And that is the crow you saw at the beginning of this video. Because the spirits tell him. Where are these spirits? No one knows. What did they tell him? No one knows. How did they know that this prophet, as it is labeled in the caption, is trustworthy? No one knows, and that is an issue that this game suffers from greatly. There are no foundations to their magic system. If you are designing a magic system, you need to design its infrastructure. And by that I mean you need to design an origin for magic. Every single form of media that portrays magic, in my opinion, is flawed because magic does not have an origin. Let us look at Harry Potter, for example. Who determines if a person will be born a witch, a wizard, or a muggle, as in a person who cannot use magic? No one knows. How do the wands choose the wearer, or the bearer, I should say, not the wearer? You do not wear a wand, you bear a wand. Or the beholder. How do the wands choose? No one knows. That could have been deepened later on, I honestly do not know. But the magic is an enigmatic entity in these forms of media, whether they are video games, anime, cartoons, television shows, or movies. Let us look at Doctor Strange. Where does he obtain the source of that magic? No one knows. You simply keep focusing and willing and gesturing with your hand, and suddenly something will happen if you train and read Sanskrit. There we go. So the issue with this game is that there is no establishment for magic. I do not know why these YouTube notifications linger that long. There is no foundation. Who created the magic of this world? How is magic accessed? Can a person learn this magic? Is it inherited? Even in Dungeons and Dragons, you do not truly know where magic emanates from. You have certain classes that can learn magic by studying nature. I do not know how that happens. And you have... I honestly do not understand the magical system in Dungeons and Dragons, to be quite honest, because it is nonsensical as its lore and mechanics, to be quite honest. So when you are designing a magical system, you need to design a point of origin for the magic. Who created the magic? How can he or she grant access to that magic? And is there a way to dispel that magic? There must be rules for magic. You cannot simply say, lol, magic. That is stupid. Because if you keep with that mentality, you will never think of the consequences for anything. You may claim that I am taking a video game seriously. It is not about the video game. It is about how people behave because of these video games. They will simply say lol magic for this video game. They will say lol magic to another game. Suddenly they are saying lol magic for everything without actually thinking critically about the world they are building. And you can see this for people who roleplay on forums or on Discord, for example, where a person is writing a story with a group of people and he suddenly ruins it without any logical explanation, and when people confront him, he simply says lol plot holes, as in ignore it, simply accept it. This kills creativity, inspiration, and initiative in people. If you keep simply... There is a maxim that you must be aware of. Do not accept everything lest the abnormal becomes normal. And we have seen this now. I mean, now they have flags for pedophilics, on organizations for pedophilics, and they are going to claim scientifically that rapists rape because of the rapist gene, murderers murder because of the murderer gene, and so on and so forth. Why? Because genetics has been involved in certain societal behaviors, and I say societal, not genetic behaviors. Now everyone will claim that they misbehave because it is genetic. No one claims that they behave properly because it is genetic. Suddenly everyone is misbehaving because of genetics. Anyways, so here Thrall should still not trust that prophet, even if the spirits still tell him to do so. But we as the viewer do not know how intelligent are these spirits, how do they know this prophet, and so on and so forth. But people will simply say, oh, it is magic, so simply accept it and move on. Be a factory worker. That is it. Do as you are told as a robot. By the way, this is not an insult to factory workers. As long as you are earning an honest living, you have the utmost respect. But what I mean by factory worker, as in, if you are on a factory line, you do not provide the company with any input. You simply do as you are told. That is it. Package this product, you package it. Package it in this particular manner, you package it in this particular manner, and so on and so forth. This is what I am alluding to when I state the term factory worker. Lastly, before we continue on to the next scene, because the prologue is almost done, I believe so, maybe not, but I may end the video soon and continue the prologue in another video, bi'idhnillah, and God willing. The reason the prophet is so knowledgeable is because of a rather dumb reason that you will discover later in the Orcish campaign, and we will return to it later. And it is rather infuriating and frustrating. I honestly do not know how people are so attached to this game in terms of narrative. Gameplay, perhaps. I prefer the Age of Mythology and Age of Empire games myself in terms of gameplay and also story. But the narrative in this game is infuriating because it had an amazing foundation, but it failed upon execution. I want developers to provide a meaningful message, a meaningful and impactful message through their games, instead of simply designing a magical world without any rules, without any form of respect to the mind of the player, and instead have the player become enamored with a fantastical setting and hope that is enough to appeal to the player. If your story was set in an alternate reality of Earth, for example, without any fantastical creatures, but the characters change the lives of the players positively, and when I say change, I mean change, as opposed to people who keep claiming, oh, this game changed my life. How did it change your life? It preoccupied my time. Instead of thinking about depression, I played this game and it took my mind off depression. Did it cure your depression? No. Then it did not change anything. You think it did, but it did not. How can you assess if a game truly changed you? If you are a lazy bum that does nothing at home with respect to chores, for example, and this game suddenly provoked you to actually take care of yourself hygienically, treat the people of your household nicely, treat your neighbors nicely, be a proactive member of society, that is when you can say that this anime or this movie or this game changed me. But claiming that a game changed you solely because it is a distraction, that is not a change, because once the game ends, once the distraction ends, you will seek a better and bigger distraction, or you will delve deeper or drown deeper into the abyss of your depression. So that is what I wish for developers to actually invest in. Create a fantastical, illogical premise. I do not mind that, but leave an impactful, positive message that allows people to think critically, judge accordingly, and change for the better. That is what I hope for. Honestly, I have not seen this take place in any game, sadly, because everything now is based upon anime characters, where the savior of the world is a stupid 16-year-old who does nothing but shout and scream atop their lungs, and they have a satanic beast within them that grants them special powers, or they are descended from 15 different clans and he has all their powers. I am not alluding to Bleach. I am, but I will dissect and grill Bleach later on, bi'idhnillah, and God willing, because that show is ruining people, to be quite honest. Okay, let us return to this.
It's been 3 days and this prophet has yet to show himself. I hope I'm not making a huge mistake by trusting him.
Why are you waiting for the prophet for 3 days? He told you that the demons are returning. I do not know if the Burning Legion was depicted in Warcraft 2 or mentioned in Warcraft 1 or not. Honestly, I do not know. I never played those games. But he informed you to immigrate to the western continent of Kalimdor. So why is Thrall waiting? And why is he hoping that he did not make a mistake by trusting him? Did the spirits not inform him that he was a trustworthy individual? This is what I am referring to. If we knew of these spirits and knew of their interaction with that prophet before they informed Thrall with their decision, perhaps then I would not be mocking this part of the story. But the prophet instructed you, he warned you and advised you. What more do you need from him? And there is another issue with the migration itself. You may wonder, why do they need to migrate to Kalimdor instead of face the demons or the Burning Legion here in this current land? That is a rather stupid moment, or a stupid aspect of the story, unfortunately. They try to justify it rather dumbly. Later on in the Elvish campaign we will discuss that, but you will see why. For now, let us continue.
War Chief, the clans are assembling as you ordered, but it will take them some time to reach us. Then we must prepare this camp immediately. I want my warriors to have food and proper lodgings when they arrive. Yes, War Chief. Warrior, has there been any word from Hellscream? He and the Warsong clan were supposed to have been here by now. No, War Chief. We haven't heard from Hellscream in some time. Damn it, Hellscream. Where the hell are you?
This brings me back to my previous point regarding the qualities of leadership that Thrall lacks. Again, where is your intelligence? The prophet, peace be upon him, would know if a neighboring tribe would attack him even before they would amass the army, then travel to his city and face him. He would know before that. You, Thrall, are the leader of the Horde, which is basically a collective of Orcish tribes. You do not have a group of orcs that roam the land surreptitiously gathering intelligence for you. It does not seem to be that way. You are wasting your time riding on that wolf with that great hammer, and that is it. To the point where one of your officers or one of your lieutenants is missing, and you do not even know why or how he went missing. Again, this shows an issue with Thrall's leadership qualities. He lacks intelligence. If you lack intelligence as a leader of an army or a leader of a nation, you are doomed. Intelligence are the eyes. If you are blind, you cannot move anywhere or function properly. Remember that. Let us continue.
We need more gold.
Burrows
We
provide
need
the
more Oogie-doo. My life for the Horde.
You orcs are in violation of the Alliance Internment Act. We've already captured one of your leaders. If you surrender now, we'll spare your lives.
War Chief, they say they've captured one of our leaders. Maybe they're referring to Hellscream. I hope not. But if they have captured Hellscream, I'll make them regret it. Loktar Ogar! Come, my warriors! We must drive the humans back!
This scene clearly demonstrates Thrall's ineptitude. His officer was missing for some time, as the grunt stated. Thrall was unaware of his location. Thrall had to search for him. Then Thrall discovered from his enemy, the humans, because this enmity developed from the first game, so now the orcs and the humans hate each other. He discovered the location of his officer from his enemies. This is clearly indicative of Thrall's ineptitude, no intelligence whatsoever. You may claim that Thrall's capabilities or resources are limited. I would disagree with that because he is the leader of... how many clans were they? I keep forgetting. 7 clans, I believe, or 9 clans. I honestly do not remember. And those are the main clans. There could be smaller clans that he is leading that I am unaware of. And he is attuned with nature, and the way orcs are portrayed mostly is through shamanism, that orcs are shamanistic. They communicate with spirits, they are in tune with nature, and so on and so forth. You do not have any orcs that can use their shamanistic capabilities to disappear through the woods or blend in with the shrubbery, for example, to spy accordingly. Why can you not send the spirits that knew of the prophet somehow and use them for espionage? We do not know because of the pitfalls. This situation could have been easily circumvented if Thrall had proper intelligence. Instead, the humans have better intelligence because they captured an officer. And if Thrall asked for him by name, that means Hellscream is a high-ranking officer in Thrall's army, or whatever he calls it, because apparently Thrall knows nothing of leading a nation or leading tribes. I do not even know why he is the leader. There is a reason, but it is a stupid reason. Someone found him while the old leader was dying and he nominated him for some reason. I honestly do not remember. I will try to limit this critique to this game only instead of delving into other source material. Another matter that annoys me with such games is the lack of consideration for the minor characters within these stories. Why is the grunt called Grunt or labeled Grunt instead of having a name? If the Grunt has a name, this indicates that Thrall, and by proxy you, the player, know of this individual. He is an important piece in your story. He is not simply a grain of sand that means nothing to you. Cannon fodder, as they say. Games such as, what was it? The Legend of Heroes? Trails of the Sky Legends of Heroes, if I recall correctly. If I remember, I could be mistaken, but if I recall correctly, every single non-playable character has a name and has a story. Even if it is minute or irrelevant to the main story of the game, they have a life in that game. So this helps you feel immersed in that game, or in that world, I should say. Here you do not feel any immersion because the main characters are probably 6 or 7 and that is it. Everyone else is useless. Everyone else is a grunt. Soldiers that are sent to die. We who are about to die, and that is it. This is not related to the story of the game, but rather a mechanical discussion. If you are building a world for players or for readers, ensure that even the characters that will not have a role at all in your story have a story of their own. They could be merchants who start a shop. They could be warriors who were enslaved perhaps, then freed and joined the military of those who freed them, and so on and so forth. That way you circumvent issues should your authors wish to interact with these characters, sorry, not authors, your readers wish to interact with these characters, if they, for example, wish to write fan fiction of your world or use your world for their tabletop role-playing settings, they know how your world functions, what to expect from your world. It adds depth, richness, and immersion. Let us continue.
One located here. It is highlighted with the tab key.
Complete, please.
Before we play this next scene, I also have to say I am quite impressed with how quickly the humans built the bridge in the previous scene. This is not part of my critique. I am merely joking to lighten the mood, nothing more. Let us continue. Okay, Control P.
Hellscream, are you all right?
I'm fine, little brother. Luckily, they only injured my pride.
Great, because we're getting out of here now. We're leaving the human lands for good.
Finally, follow me. I have an idea. We can set sail on the humans' own ships.
Perfect. But we'll need to wait for the rest of the Horde. The Horde is assembled, Warchief. We await only your command.
Now, go, young thrall. Sail west to the lands of Kalimdor. It is there that you will find your destiny. It is there that your people's salvation will be assured.
I believe we will end here, mainly because I am becoming rather fatigued with the length of this video, so I will continue the prologue in another video, inshallah, bi'idhnillah. But let us comment on what transpired. That was a tactically sound decision to steal the ships of their enemies, the humans, and use them to fulfill their purpose. And that is the end point of a battle, to reap the bounties of war and utilize them for yourselves, whether they are weapons, vehicles, and or research, and so on and so forth. For example, the Romans were normally fighting on land. They were a terrestrial military. When they fought the Carthaginians in the Punic Wars, they realized that the Carthaginian strength lied in their naval fleets. But the Romans were weak with respect to the technological advancement of their ships. What happened was I believe they found a wrecked Carthaginian ship in the first Punic War, if I recall. I could be mistaken, but if I am, feel free to correct me in the comments below so that we can all learn and benefit. Then they reverse engineered the design of the ship and integrated the new design into their military. And that is how they were able to gain the upper hand against the Carthaginians, and they won all 3 Punic Wars. They were 3, right? Or was there a 4th? No, I think they were only 3. I keep forgetting with how many wars there are. The 7th Coalition War, the 4th Midriatic War. Yeah, too many numerical events. So that is a tactically sound decision, to steal the vessels of the enemy and use them for your own particular purpose. Finally, Thrall is behaving strategically. But what I am wondering is, why did he not ask the same question I inquired earlier, when the Prophet asked him to migrate west to Kalimdor? Why did he not ask about the reason behind such a migration? Why could they not face the threat in their current location instead of migrating westward? We do not know. And that is the issue with this game. There are questions that are not answered, but they should be answered because they are logical questions. But everything is, as you see here, lol magic. That is it. How did Thrall survive for so long as a leader of the Horde without being assassinated so easily with magic? Lol magic. How did Thrall manage to find Hellscream? Lol through magic. Lol magic. It is illogical. He lacks intelligence, lacks leadership skills, lacks foresight, lacks quite a lot actually. I am surprised he is a leader. For those who are wondering why he is called Thrall, there is a reason for that, because he was found as an infant by a human and he wished to raise him as a slave. Hence the term Thrall, because he wished to raise him as a minion, and he does not have a last name because he does not know his father yet, or I believe he will later on. I do not remember the timeline. Here is a pivotal issue with storytelling. And let me show you the issue here. No, this is the... okay, hold on, let me...
Hellscream, are you alright?
And it will come right here. This is the issue with storytelling. Because this game was designed by Americans, they are using American names, first name and last name. This game, however, is supposedly set in medieval era. They did not have first name and last name. The last name, or this style of nomenclature, was introduced when they started to eliminate the tribal system, because the tribal system was a great deterrent to the formation of the one world government, because tribes protect their own people. Once the tribes have been eliminated, the focus shifted from community to individuality. That is why you see people in the downtown areas sleeping on the pavement and people walking over them as if they were a piece of crumbled paper, because of the lack of the tribal system. When you are designing your world, you need to think of the culture of that nation, not of your own nation. He should be called Gromash, son of his father's name, or of clan, the name of the clan, or of house, the name of the house. Names in the past were patronymic, as in you have your name, then the name of your father, then the name of his father, then the name of his father, and so on and so forth, until the progenitor of your lineage. That is how they used to trace pedigree and identify bastards. Now it seems that having literal bastards is favorable now, even though the bastards themselves do not enjoy that. I have seen Westerners who were shocked and disgusted when they realized they were born out of wedlock and then their parents married after they were born. And I was genuinely surprised, because it seems that in Western societies everything is fish, milk, tamarind. Do whatever you want, it is casual baby, it is a free country, do as you please, no issues. So I was genuinely surprised that there are Westerners who despise being literal bastards. That is a tangent. And returning to this issue, remember that when you are designing societies and cultures and languages, think of the language or the society of the race or of the nation you are creating, not of your own nation. Gromash Hillscream should not be called Gromash Hillscream. Thrall does not know his lineage, so he's simply called Thrall. That is sensical. But for Gromash, he should not have an American name or a Western name, because Europeans also use the same style. And for some reason, when a woman marries a man, she acquires his last name, so she becomes his property. I am surprised the feminists have not complained about that. Anyways, that will be it for this video. I hope this recording was helpful and beneficial to you all. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Be safe, take care, and peace be upon you all. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.